All right, well, welcome everyone to our pre-session news conference discussion, what we think is going to take place here in the fall sitting. The Alberta Party Caucus went into the previous session with an expanded caucus, and it's clear that then we were punching above our weight, and we plan to continue to do that. In the spring sitting, we proposed and passed important amendments, including amendments to Bill 12, the pipeline bill. We also showed up for every single important bill debate, including Bill 9, and we'll absolutely commit to continuing to do our job and show up in the legislature for all bills. We raised a number of important issues in the House, including pushing for pipelines, awareness around mental health, support for EMS workers, reducing wait times in hospital, and so much more. Last session may have been that coming out party for an expanded and increasingly effective Alberta Party caucus. But this fall, we are going to show that our team is capable, hardworking, and ready to govern. We have a fantastic team between Karen McPherson, Rick Fraser, and myself. We worked well together in caucus. We have had a chance over the last number of months to speak with Albertans all throughout the province. We think that's going to help us deliver even better representation for all Albertans, and particularly those who identify themselves as centrist. This session we're expecting will have to carry the load in terms of proposing real solutions to the problems facing Albertans. The government and the opposition seem to have turned their attention to electioneering, but the business of the province still needs to get done, and we will be here every single day doing that work. We've seen very little to suggest that the official opposition is prepared to offer common sense criticism or viable solutions. Now, I've said before that the Alberta Party Caucus believes in the word and, not either or. And in this case, we believe we can prepare for an election and represent everyday Albertans by proposing common sense improvements to government legislation. This also will be a historic session for our caucus as MLA Karen McPherson prepares to present Bill 209, the first Alberta Party private member's bill. Now, I can't share much in the way of details, but I will say that it will be focused on getting out of work and underemployed Albertans help, putting Albertans back to work. It's the result of extensive consultation with business, with ordinary Albertans, with Indigenous communities, and Karen's also reached out to the labor movement for their input, although hasn't heard back yet from them. It's a piece of legislation I think the government and the opposition and all members could and should absolutely support. Our intention here is to help Albertans, not to score political points. We're also going to focus on raising issues passed by our members at our recent AGM. We will be pushing for better care for people with dementia and their families and caregivers and loved ones. We'll be pushing for a thorough analysis of Alberta's expenditure and revenue situation and focus on improvements to health care by pursuing evidence-based policies, including reducing turnaround times for EMS and hospital, looking at expanding the scope of practice for nurse practitioners and other allied health professionals, reviewing and eliminating redundancies between AHS and Alberta Health, as well as looking at more decentralized control, and focus on rapidly increasing the number of long-term care beds, something the NDP has failed on repeatedly. With that, very happy to take your questions.
What's it going to be like? So you've got three of you guys now. Is anything changing in terms of who positions or critical roles or anything?
No, we're all keeping the same critical roles that we've had all along.
Have you guys never had a private member's bill before?
We never have.
Really?
We could have a long, and I promise you, fascinating discussion about the bill draw process. Every legislature, every session, it starts again, resets at zero. I think I'm about Bill 263 or something like that, and I always, for whatever, just luck of the draw, I end up seeming fairly far down the list. But fortunately, Karen has Bill 209, and we look forward to introducing that this fall.
Okay, you mentioned there as well UCP and NDP in electioneering mode already. Are you not there as well, though? I mean, the election's coming up.
It is coming up. I'll tell you, our electioneering involves door knocking. Whenever a volunteer or another candidate asks me what I think they should be doing, my answer is go knock doors. We're doing a lot of that. I was doing that last night. I'm going to drive back immediately after this and get back on the doors in Calgary, although tonight. So we are doing a lot of that work. I can tell you that a lot of work is happening on the structure side of things, behind the scenes in our party, putting together platform ideas, putting together communications plans and the structure for running 87 candidates, one in every single constituency in this province. As you saw at our AGM, we have half of our candidates nominated. But Albertans expect their MLAs to get on with the business of governing the province. That doesn't involve lobbing partisan shots back and forth. Unfortunately, it seems both the government and the official opposition seem intent on doing exactly that. So our focus is, while the legislature is sitting, is to focus on the substantive issues of the day, improving government legislation and proposing ideas of our own.
And I'm just wondering why this topic, out of work and underemployed Albertans for your first parliament?
You know, unemployment has been a massive challenge in this province since 2014, really. And I can tell you it's not getting better for many, many Albertans. That's especially true in Calgary. Calgary has the second highest unemployment rate of a large urban area in the whole country. It's unacceptable. Many of my constituents tell me very heart-wrenching stories of being out of work for 3+ years and simply not being able to make ends meet. Jobs and the economy are the #1 issues that we hear about from our constituents, and I'm very proud of the work that Karen has done to come up with thoughtful legislation. She's reached out to government side, the opposition side, to stakeholders. It is a response to the things that we hear from our constituents, and frankly, it's the sort of thing I would like to see the government do a little more of. Less hard partisanship looking for political wedges, and more thoughtful governance to put Albertans back to work.
You mentioned Bill 9 last session. We're expecting at least another one of these so-called trap bills on conversion therapy coming this session. You haven't seen the bill yet, obviously,
No.
but what's your approach generally to that issue of conversion therapy?
So I think that it should be outlawed, as it has been in other provinces. I think that support for LGBTQ people should be unequivocal. There's no gray area here. This is not something that we should, it's frankly disappointing. It's even an issue we continue to debate. These are fundamental rights. In the Alberta Party, we don't believe one group of people has more or different rights than anyone else. This is about ensuring everyone has equal rights, which is a fundamental Canadian value. Unfortunately, the UCP seems intent on these sorts of issues, allowing them to become wedge issues based on a portion of their party that holds extreme views. We in the Alberta Party do not share those extreme views. We're aligned with LGBTQ people and with, I think, most Albertans in saying that these sorts of things like conversion therapy ought to be outlawed, as they have been in other provinces. Frankly, it should be uncontroversial. It should be simple. We'll see what the bill says, but the principle of supporting LGBTQ Albertans is rock solid for the Alberta Party.
Are you expecting the UCP to be part of those debates or votes? Do you expect that?
My expectation is that MLAs representing all parties should be present for and participate in debates, period. If you don't like something that's in a bill, we have a legislative assembly that allows you to stand up and speak your mind on what your feelings are about that bill. So if there's something about that particular bill or any other legislation that the UCP doesn't like, they should have the guts to stand up in the legislature and speak about it. We saw that with Bill 9, they didn't. I think Albertans saw that for the shameful act that it was. I would expect on this bill that they attend and do their job.